Okay, good evening, everybody. This is the Public Works Committee special call meeting for December 10th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. It's good to see everybody. We'll go ahead and call I've called the order to the meeting. Before we do that, let's go ahead and let everybody know because we have a big meeting tonight. So let's identify ourselves and go ahead and start with
Mike Martin, Alderman for Ward 2.
okay, Mark Seymour, Alderman from Ward 1.
Eddie Robinson, Ward 6.
Okay, sir.
Sarah Locke, Public Works Director.
All right.
Jeff Sassy, Alderman Ward 3.
Don Ward, Alderman Ward 2.
Terry Goodwin, Alderman Ward 4.
Jesse Eckenroth, Chief of Operations.
Jana Garten, Alderman Ward 5.
Mark Burdorf, Alderman Ward 1.
All right. We can't see in there, but that's all right. We know you're here. That's what matters. And okay, any other elected in here? Hearing none, we'll move right along. Let's go with, if there's no objection, we'll accept the agenda as is. If there's not, we move right along to dispense with that. Let's go with the minutes. I need a motion.
Second.
Okay, that was a motion for November 26, 2024 minutes. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, is everyone ready to vote? All in favor of approval of the minutes, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, passes unanimously. Citizens' comments. We've got a comments board here. Does anyone here would like to speak to us on a matter with the city? If you don't, and if you feel like you need to during the meeting, just touch on me right here, but don't hit me. Just touch me, and we'll get you on there. That's not a problem because we're very relaxed when it comes to people wanting to speak to us. Since we don't have any on citizens' comments, put that in signed. Okay, we'll go ahead with our the only thing that we're discussing, I guess, of issue tonight, we have other agenda items and other business that we can go through. That's usually just for the committee. But you're welcome to stay for that. Reading of Resolution 2024-47 is a resolution approving the agreed purchase and sale of right-of-way located at or near the juncture of Drake Creek Road, Avant Lane, Countryside Drive, and Anderson Road. And before we need a discussion, I need a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, there's been a proper motion and a second. And I guess Jesse or Sarah or does anybody want to discuss?
Rundown.
Sure, yeah. Sarah, you can fill in any blanks that I miss. But after, going through the appraisal processes on the properties over there when we were considering that project, we've made several offers. Several of the property owners have agreed to those offers and have followed up with us to ask if the offers were still valid. So we thought we'd bring it back to the board to see if there was any interest in going ahead and acquiring the right of way for the property owners who are willing to sell that property. So that's the premise of the resolution that's before us this evening.
Okay. All right. Sarah, do you have anything to just say about it, or just is that what? I mean, that's just black and white. That's what it is.
That
Okay.
is, yeah. I can answer any questions you may have.
And if any of the aldermen or anyone for that matter has a question or something, let me know, and we'll try to answer it as best as we can. Okay. Thank you all. Any discussion among them?
Yeah, I've got a question. How much money are we talking about for the three parcels?
So, let's see, I put in there 82,000, I believe. not to exceed
How much again? I'm sorry.
82,000.
And that'll be was it 3 hours?
Yeah, that's on page 7 of the staff report under fiscal impact.
And this would need to be allocated.
It's appropriated
It's already appropriated.
Yes, sir. No budget amendment needed.
Okay. So what kind of a position would this put us in if we acquired the property, but then we're unable to acquire the remaining property? What would that look like?
In a lot of areas we have right of way that we don't currently use. that could be where the street could be expanded, sidewalks could be put in. So it would look like right of way that we just don't have to, like the city doesn't have any infrastructure on it. So if we purchased it and no project or no widening or anything in the area or no sidewalks ever happened, it would just be additional property that the city could have, for future improvements, but it doesn't necessarily need to be improved. We have, many areas of the city where actually our right of way limits go beyond our street. So this would just extend it beyond what we currently have.
And we would have to maintain it, mow it, all that stuff.
No.
Not really.
Our ordinance provides the property owners are responsible for maintaining the property adjacent to the
The
river.
easement. Okay. Does this do anything with the utility companies moving forward? Or they're going to want us to have everything in place?
I don't think there's no
No.
coordination with the utility on who owns the property.
Yeah.
What was the name of the utility company that came up when we talked about the original
White House?
White House? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So it sounded like they weren't going to spend a penny unless we had everything tied down. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Are they willing to move forward if we purchase these properties?
No, these properties aren't even in the area where they were going to do the relocations, if I'm correct. So this wouldn't really impact White House utility at all.
Okay.
If I may add, one of the benefits for two of the properties specifically to purchasing this right of way is the stream actually traverses two of those properties through this area. And so if there were any needed stormwater improvements, things like that we needed to do, then that would make that a little bit easier, that process, just for reference.
But this resolution, the board has spoken and voted against moving forward on the roundabout. So that's the policy of the board, that we're not moving forward on the roundabout.
Correct.
So this resolution does nothing to put any pressure on the property owners that do not wish to sell their land to the city, correct?
Correct.
This just allows, and with this, I know that there may be some discussion and some looks at alternative plans.
Yes.
Would the purchase of these right-of-ways possibly help any alternative improvements in that area?
Yes.
Not the roundabout, but other improvements. It may assist in any other options being considered.
That's correct.
Okay.
Sarah, have any of these other options been presented to the board as a potential plan with the purchase of this, with the purchase or the fulfillment of the responsibility of the city to purchase these with the contract we've already negotiated with these owners? Have we had a plan presented to the board or to planning regarding that?
No, because we don't have an alternate plan in place at this time. I actually just completed today a RFP, a request for proposal for professional services to go ahead and evaluate the area, perform a multi-way stop warrant, a traffic signal warrant, and evaluate other alternatives for traffic flow, safety improvements and things to this area. So that will be advertised not this Thursday, but next Thursday.
Okay.
And so we would plan to have those submitted in January. We could evaluate that and then we could go from there.
Okay, thank you.
I support this because this area is growing. We're looking at the park facilities possibly over there. And so I don't see any danger. In fact, I think it's insightful for the board to purchase this property, especially since the property owners desire to sell this. I think it allows for future expansion. Maybe when I'm not on this board, I'm sure Mark will continue to be on the board. But I'm doubtful that I will. So I just think it puts us in a good position to be able to make additional plans, take care of the stream. When we start expanding over there, we've got some extra land to be able to maybe improve that. And so But I wanted to make sure this resolution does nothing to put any pressure on the property owners that do not want to sell their land.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, I have one more little
Yes,
question.
sir, go ahead.
Chairman, thank you. Regarding the ARPA funds that we were going to use to assist with the dreaded roundabout or the failed roundabout, are there any ARPA funds? You talked about stormwater drainage and stormwater correction issues. Are any of these ARPA funds available to be applied to this now?
No.
No, okay.
We can't add any projects. So we could reallocate a portion of those funds to existing approved projects, but I want to say it was up to 5%.
And where are we on those others like Drake's Creek? Not Drake's Creek. Stop 30, I'm sorry.
That's not an ARPA fund project
It's
either.
not an ARPA fund, but it's still a stormwater project.
The Drake's Creek Stop 30 is, that's a federally funded project through local programs, so
Any
it's
updates on
completely
that one?
separate. That's in right of way.
In right away, okay.
Yeah, they purchase all but one right of way
Okay, fantastic.
for that property.
Thank
I
you.
have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if it would be for Jesse or Sarah.
Sure.
Would it not be better to wait till you get those reports back before we spend that money on this to see what the recommendation is, if that property would be needed? Or no? It's not a criticism, it's just a
Sure.
question.
No, it's a good question. Possibly. I would say that one of the property owners specifically has now signed 3 times. And so part of the reason that, we're bringing this is because people are wanting to close, on what they've already signed. So I think it would be acceptable to move forward now if
Okay.
that's what the board decides to do. I think there would, as I said, I think there's benefit specifically to 2 of the properties that are within the floodplain and have stream all through those parcels, through the property that we would obtain. I think there's benefit to that. But I mean, if the board wills to wait, then that's an option as well.
Good question.
Yeah,
So
Yes, sir, go ahead.
the likelihood of the people that want to sell, if we don't take the opportunity now, that opportunity could go away.
I believe that's a possibility. There's been a little bit of frustration with the process. I think that's possible.
So somebody was talking about grant funding. Is that still on the table for this project, or did we miss the deadline? We missed the deadline?
Yeah, at this point, I don't think we'd be able to avail ourselves to hitting the deadline with the grant funds.
Even the 82,000 wouldn't be like a substantial step towards it that would give us.
That wasn't part of the grant. The grant was only funding the construction phase of the project.
How much do you think the professional AE fees are gonna be for their studies, traffic studies, all that stuff?
I would imagine, just based on what we see for a simple traffic study, I would estimate at least 50,000.
Do you think that traffic study is gonna come back and support the original design based on your experience?
I believe it's possible. I mean, although we didn't have a formal traffic study provided previously, a lot of options were considered. So I think it's possible that it may come back, but that would be the best option.
Okay. Just wanted to think through. Your comment was pretty good. You're kind of quiet.
I'm thinking, I have a couple of questions, but normally the chairman doesn't ask his questions till the end. I mean, this has been a good discussion so far, and I don't want to mess it up. So, I mean, all the questions that have been asked are really good ones. So, does anyone else have any things? All right, I'll ask a couple things. Of the ones that are on this right of way, do they have problems with flooding out there in that area? I mean, do they have standing water? or has there ever had any out there?
I'm not positive that they have an issue that's on a front corner
Right.
of their property. I don't know that it presents a problem for them.
Okay. Well, my only feeling is this, and I've been around, as Eddie eloquently said, and I've been here a while, and sometimes we do things in the city, whether we like it or whether you're for it or against it, but you know that it's coming, that you go ahead and acquire the right of way on some of this, knowing in your mind what the ultimate goal is. And I'm just not for the ultimate goal. And and that concerns me, that you can come back and say, well, look, we've got these 3 properties, we've got those, so we might as well go ahead. And some people, I think, would say that. I think they're just saying, well, this is the long-term goal here. At least that's how I feel. Now, it doesn't mean anything just because I feel that way. But I have seen this thing. I've seen this happen before in the city of Hendersonville years ago. So I have a concern about that. Let me ask you this. Say this failed. Okay. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. Because there's another option here on the floor that we haven't discussed, and we'll entertain it. Well, we may or may not entertain it. I don't know. But of the 82,000, where else can that money be applied into the city of Hendersonville? Of the 82,000, we can take it out, if it's necessary, out of what is budgeted for this. And where could we take it, or could we?
I guess it depends on, so some of the funding for this project is from developer fees, so that could not be used
So
anywhere
that would
but in
be-
this area.
Okay, right.
Some of it was stormwater funding, so it would need to be something that would promote improvements to the stormwater
All right.
management program. And then all of the funds for that project was from stormwater, actually, so.
So it could be used for stormwater, and then also the Durham Farms community versus the properties here on the right of way. Well, here's my feeling. If the right of way as it is, the resolution that was defeated, whether you were for it or against it, is not. We're not even talking about that, because I would have to call myself out of order with that, because if we start talking about it, I'm going to tell you right now, I'll tell you you're out of order. And so, let's get on to something else. But it does bother me that saying we're going to go ahead and do this, and then maybe on the back end come back. I'm not saying that any alderman would do that. I'm not even saying that the mayor would do that. But it does concern me when I see, well, we're going to go ahead and get those properties done. And why are you doing it? Well, because of what you just said. Those are the reasons that it's, and I'm not sure that carries, pardon the expression, the water to me. So I'm inclined at this point to vote against it, because I don't see the necessity of it. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not thinking in the future, when I am gone, that we might look back and say, hey, we should have gotten that. Well, we could. I don't know that. That's, I'm not Kreskin. I can't see that. But I can only see what has transpired out that way. Now, if I would say this, and I need to remind the committee, and I don't even know if you've thought of this. If this ordinances or this resolution fails, then I would entertain a motion to to recommend with no recommendation from the city, and to move it to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to let the whole board decide on that. Now, I don't know how the committee feels about that. This committee never hardly does that, but we have done it, where we just vote for a no recommendation. And that way, there's two schools of thought here. One, it's not poisoned by having a negative vote out of a committee and it looks bad when you've done that, but it allows all the aldermen as a whole, because we've all got a stake in this, not just Ward 6, but everybody, with those funds, with that money, because it can be used, like I said, all over the city with stormwater and also in Ward 6 with Durham Farms. So it has the light by saying, well, it was not we wanted everybody to decide instead of just the committee to go ahead and use their authority over that, because it looks different. And I think you may or may not know some of the new ones, new aldermen, which we're really glad to have you, but that's the position that I don't want a ordinance or resolution to think of, to be coming out of committee with a negative vote. Because I tell you, it weighs heavy on when I see it, it weighs heavy the way that I'm going to vote. Excuse me, the way that I'm going to vote when it comes out of the committees. And I trust those aldermen in the committees very much so. I think we've got a great board of aldermen, and they're very far thinking, and so I trust what they say. And if they say no, then right then I'm thinking that I'm going to probably vote no. So, but if it comes out with a non-recommendation, that just means they couldn't make a decision on this, and they want input from every alderman that's going to vote on it. So that's a position that I feel that could possibly, and you may not, you may say, well, it's done. I don't know. So that's just another motion to be thinking of in this area. But is there any further discussion on this motion? Because if there's none, then we'll vote. Yes.
So you guys did great on whoever did the rugby happening like 2 weeks ago, but we had people that, doing the rugby over there that were parking on my property, so on my grass and across the way, because they couldn't park anyplace else. So the 2000 could also make that part safer, because we had people walking down Ovland, 17.5-foot wide lane. And you have families walking to go see their kids play. I know Durham Farm doesn't want them in their area, so could we go that way? Maybe. Is there anything? Because it's an awesome facility. It's no more still.
Yeah, but I appreciate what you thought, and I appreciate what you said, but that's not what this, we can think about that, but really that's not what the resolution's about. It's wanting to vote to either purchase the right of way that's located on Drake Street Road, Avon Lane, and Countryside Drive. That could be a weighing factor on the vote. So I appreciate you pointing that out, but it doesn't have really a direct effect on this resolution. But thank you very much for pointing that out.
Well, I don't know how the motion that Alderman Martin feels about it, but I'm okay just sending it to the board without a recommendation. If that would satisfy you, Chairman.
No, yes.
Then I think that we just need to put it before the board and let the board weigh this in a neutral manner and look at the immediate and long-term effects and let the board vote on it. So
have a de novo discussion. I did have one more question. When you had bring the AE on board, there was somebody who had a sketch of an alternate plan, one of the aldermen, and that seemed like it would work. Is that something that they can vet out?
Yes, they're part of the request for proposals is to evaluate all alternatives for any alternate configurations for the approaches to Drake's Creek or any alternative traffic control measures. So that's something they'll be evaluating. and with pros and cons for each recommended option.
Okay, that sounds good.
Whatever we do is gonna upset some people.
Yeah.
It's-
Make everybody
it's-
happy.
Can't make everybody happy.
Yeah.
And, so that's the nature of the beast, so to speak.
I understand that. And I don't want people to think that we're running away from a problem, but this is an issue that I think that has touched everybody in the city of Hendersonville. And I just thought of that idea about, well, maybe we just do that and it doesn't poison it when it leaves this committee. As opposed that if it was going to be a negative vote, I certainly would, it would weigh heavy when it came to the board about that. But, that's just me and that's why I did that. So, if we're going to think about that one, then I need someone to take their second away on the first motion to approve. And then,
He made the motion.
okay.
I
and-
second.
Okay, so you're taking that motion
Take it
away. And second, you're taking your second out, and then the motion is to,
Motion is to send it to Bowman with no recommendation.
okay, there's been a motion,
Second.
and there's been a proper second. And the motion is to, with a no recommendation vote, no pro or con either way, just felt like that the whole board needed to make this decision because it is one that affects the whole city as a whole. Believe it or not, but it does. Because there's been so much talk about, situations, but we want to do that, and we do want the board to decide as a whole on it. Any other further discussion on that motion? There's been a proper second. Hearing none, is everybody ready to vote? Okay, this is we're asking for a vote to take not making a decision as a committee on the recommendation, but take it to the board because we want the whole board to make a decision on it. And that is Resolution 2024-47, resolution approving the agreed purchase and the sale of located at the juncture of Drake Creek Road of On Lane Countryside Drive, Anderson Road. All in favor of that, of the motion of Resolution 2024-47, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, passes to the board.
When will it be on the board agenda?
First meeting in
January,
January.
the January meeting, first meeting in January.
Which is, I know we've already set that. Do you remember when it's January 6th or 7th or something like that? I think it is.
Be the 14th.
Okay, we're way out. I think those are doctor's appointments for me. I'm almost sure that's the case. January 14th, right after Dad's birthday. 14th, okay, I got down meeting. So we'll ask it for to be placed on the agenda. Is it going to any other committee? Does anybody know? No? Okay. Then we'll ask it for it to be placed on the 14th meeting for the Board of Aldermen. All right. Down quickly to other agenda items because it's getting close to 7. Do we have any?
That's right.
Okay, all right. Have we cleared, has it been cleared for Santa to come in? We got his,
Ready?
we're ready to go. Okay, good. Under other business, do we have any? Hearing none, okay, let's knock that out. And then I just need a motion to adjourn. We're ready.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. At 6.
The snow cover.
6:64.
Ready to go.